Hello and welcome to In the Cool of the Day and today's segment of People Connecting People. I'm your host, Ruth Pegaron, and I have a special show for you today. My guest has a passion for helping individuals and families. She has taken on the role as the executive director at Hope for Grieving Families, a nonprofit organization. Hope's mission is to support and connect grieving families with children in the greater DC area. They are different from other grief support organizations as they focus on providing fun, family-oriented events, as well as a network of support for families who have the experience of a loss of a close family member. They also help connect families with agencies that provide grief counseling and professional services. She really enjoys getting to know the families within the organization and seeing them smile. She lives in Northern Virginia and enjoys spending time with her family, traveling, reading, and baking. She has degrees from both Fordham University and the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. So please welcome Tara O'Brien. Welcome. So glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Ruth.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm happy to hear about hope every time I get in your presence. The word alone, hope, gives a lot of positive hope for others and that there's a future, even in pain, that they can get through. So I think it's just perfectly named, and which I'm going to ask you a little later, like where did it come from, or you'll probably share that.
Absolutely.
But for our families and for everyone watching, just tell us a little bit about hope in a little bit more detail.
Sure. So Hope for Grieving Families originated almost 9 years ago now. Okay. Unfortunately, our founder lost her husband after a long battle with leukemia, and she was left alone with 3 young children. And she thought, well, there's something for me, there's something for my kids, but there's nothing for us to do as a family to kind of get through our grief and try to make some new memories. And so she wanted to also honor her late husband. And she thought, I'm going to create something where families can come together. They'll all understand the feeling of loss, but where we can provide a safe space, a supportive space for them to make new happy memories together.
Wow, wonderful. And her 3 children were what age at the time? Do you remember?
They were quite young. Because right now she has a college student, a graduating senior.
Okay. Yep, and they were quite young, 9 years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
They were quite young.
So they were quite young, and they wanted to feel like they weren't alone.
Yes.
That they had other people who understood what they were going through.
Exactly. Wow, what a great concept. So how long have you been a part of Hope?
I would say I feel lucky enough to be a part of Hope. I mean, not that anybody wants to be a part of Hope because it means you've been through loss, but the community of people is so wonderful that that's why I feel lucky. So I've been coming up on a year I've been with Hope for Grieving Families, and I was introduced to it because unfortunately a very good friend of mine lost her husband unexpectedly right before the COVID lockdown and was suddenly a single mom with 2 young kids. And, she had no idea where to go, what to do, and she received one of the teddy bears from the funeral home where her husband's funeral was. And although at the time, she couldn't think much of it because when you're in the throes of grief, you can't think that. But she found the bear again later, and she reached out to the organization and she became more involved. And I heard about this as I was kind of trying to help her as much as possible on her grief journey. And so when an opening arrived last year when they were losing their director, I reached out to them because I think it's important to give back in your community. It's important to do things that matter. And this matters to people.
This does matter. And it fits your personal values.
It does.
As well, which is great. So we do have a little friend here.
We do.
And it is the Hope Bear. So why don't you just take a couple of minutes and introduce us to the Hope Bear a little bit.
Yeah, so we call her Hope.
Okay, all right, yes.
And each year we actually have a new bear that we give to families. And we do that by partnering with funeral homes, with hospice care, with therapists, essentially anyone who is going to be interacting with grieving families. We know that this can provide comfort to the children, when they're in the funeral home or as they're going through the early stages of the grief. It's just something there that they can hold and help them through. And we give them information so that when they're ready, obviously not right away, but when they're ready, they can reach out and hopefully become part of our community and meet some other amazing families who understand their loss.
That's wonderful. And putting Hope for Grieving Families on a t-shirt is probably what your friend saw when she reconnected with the bear and was like, oh, wow, Hope, and good old Google.
Exactly.
It just keeps you connected, you know, so it's a great idea. So when you say you change every year, do you change the bear or you just change the t-shirt or?
Both, actually.
Oh.
I mean, the t-shirt's essentially going to be the same, probably a different color, but we try to change the bear so that, you know, we try to give them to kids who are still in our organization that want them, that they don't want to get the same bear another year. Right. So we try to change them so that they can get a different one. But it's been so impactful to so many children. You know, we had one family who said they brought it to show and tell at school because they were so excited to have this bear and have that support. And the family loves coming to our events because they just meet other families who understand.
So outside of the bear, what other program do you offer at Hope?
Sure. So we really try to do one event each month. That way we're trying to reach families multiple times a year because obviously we know everyone's busy.
Yes.
Everyone can't always make an event. So at least having one event a year, or sorry, one event a month, we try to have a range of things so that we're getting, you know, obviously broad places where people of all ages can participate, but we also have in the summertime 2 programs for our teens. Oh. We found that teens really benefited from having a special group together. You know, teens definitely feel more alone and alienated if they're not with other grieving teens. They kind of feel like they're the only people who have ever experienced the loss. And we just find that having them together and really creating those bonds of friendship has really been life-changing.
Wow. So you create a program for them. So do they have the ability to just open up? Do they have the ability just to share? Is that what they get to do?
So in the summertime, we partner with Outward Bound. So they get to go out in nature.
Yes.
And that was actually the brainchild of the head of our teen board, Anais, who is an amazing young woman. She lost her father and really found solace in being out in nature and healing. And so she wanted to bring a group of kids out in nature and really let them experience that. And it's nice because it's that shared understanding that everybody there is on their own grief journey and they are allowed to share and talk about it if they'd like, but nobody is forced. And they're also given reflection time out in nature just to think about not only their grief, but their life and, you know, just kind of working things out while they're in nature, but having those bonds of friendship. The group last year has still gone on to meet multiple times a month. They've really created wonderful friendships.
Yes, because it's like it says I'm not alone.
Exactly.
You know, I have the same experience. You know, I might have different feelings or this different relationship, but in the common ground of grief, which is that pain, you're not alone.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. So that's in the summer. You do those for teens, and then the rest of the balance of the year is just once a month programming. Do you match it towards like during the holidays? Is it more holiday driven, or is it, you know, anything specific? Do you match to?
The only specific thing that we do is the Sunday before Thanksgiving is our annual fall festival.
Okay.
So that's what Hope was started on. That's our original signature program.
Yeah, that's the program. There you go. And it's probably 9 years is probably the strongest one.
This is this will be the 9th year this year. So it's, you know, it's what launched Hope and it's what we really love to do because obviously the holidays are really difficult for grieving families.
Very different, yes.
So we always do it the Sunday before Thanksgiving so that we're kind of launching the holiday season with a happy memory.
Okay.
And, you know, we have everything from, you know, face painters and moonbounds to gaming trucks for the older kids and, you know, photo booths and all the fun things that you would expect at a family fun fair.
Right.
But the other great thing about all of our programming is that it's always free for grieving families. Okay. We never want a cost to inhibit someone from being able to enjoy our programs because ultimately it's about bringing people together.
It is. That's what it's ultimately about. And at this fall festival, this sounds like that's your most successful event.
It is.
The reason why is all those things you just said. Now I do have to ask, do you add food to that?
We do.
Okay.
We do.
Food is always nice at a fall festival.
Like, you always need food, right?
Yes.
We have the typical, carnival fare, which is, cotton candy, popcorn,
Right.
snow cones. And then we usually have very generous donors who allow us to bring in food at no cost so that we can share even more with our families. So it changes from year to year, but we've always had very generous donors from various restaurants or places like that offer us food that we can share with our families. So it's really a full, fun day of, we have therapy dogs, so you can pet the therapy dogs, you can eat and be merry.
Yeah, so that is a great day. So what are some of the goals of the organization?
So really our goal in the last probably 2 years is to really get our name out there.
Okay.
Obviously when COVID happened, we
Yes.
couldn't do in-person events.
Yeah.
So, we had pivoted to do some other things, but we couldn't do the regular programming that we had wanted. So in the last year and a half, we really have tried to increase our programming, increase our reach so that we're really getting the word out about ourselves, because 9 years is really not that long for a nonprofit. We're still the new kid on the block, especially in the DC area.
Yes.
So really getting our name out there and making sure that we're connecting with, people who would come in contact with grieving families. So whether it's school counselors, therapists, funeral homes, all these people who unfortunately know about these grieving families, but also can share our information so that hopefully they can become part of our community.
Wow, that is wonderful. And, I think I find being operating in this space often as well is that it's just sometimes what people don't want to talk about.
Right.
They just don't want to talk about the death that happened. They don't want to talk about the pain it caused. And, I find that the more you talk about it, the more therapeutic it is. It's a part of the healing process. So that's what I love about Hope. It's just creating space for people to just talk, and like it's safe to talk about your experience in death and having a shared common ground. So with that, I understand you're trying to get as much information out there. How do you accomplish that? How do you do that?
So really, it's by making connections.
That's it. Yep.
That's what it's all about.
It's all about
meeting the right people who, know these people who are suffering, and hopefully, at the end of the day, we can bring a smile to their face.
Right. And I'm sure your families help as well. Do
Absolutely.
your families refer other families?
Our families absolutely refer other families, yes. We do a program in the wintertime for families who are celebrating any holiday. It doesn't have to just be Christmas. And we provide holiday gifts for the kids. And
nice.
It's a wonderful, heartwarming thing that was started by a young gentleman who lost his mother when he was young. So our organization spoke to him, and he reached out to us to create the program. So that's a wonderful way for people to come and help us. But we found out through this program that one of the families that was getting the gifts had a neighbor whose father had passed away suddenly around the holidays, and they wanted to donate their gifts to that family.
Wow.
And I said, no, we will send additional. I was like, please keep your gifts, but thank you for thinking of them and knowing that we could help them.
Yes, on your own with hope.
Yeah.
Yes, wow, what a wonderful story. Well, thank you for that story, and we're going to go to break. It's a time for a short break. We will return after these important messages.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. You are watching In the Cool of the Day, and today's segment of People Connecting People with my special guest, Tara O'Brien, Executive Director of Hope for Grieving Families. Prior to the break, we were talking about all of the different things in programming, and you just were sharing about the Christmas, although it could be for any holiday, and it's all about gift giving. And I understand all of the other programs that you do, but I have a curiosity. Because you do operate in a space that people do come with very heavy feelings and very heavy emotions, do you offer any kind of counseling? Is that anything that you provide for anyone that needs it?
So we do not personally provide counseling. We know we are more focused on the fun events.
Okay.
But we understand that counseling is a very important part of anybody's grieving journey. So we always provide a list of resources where we can connect people with the appropriate either place, like whether it's group therapy, whether it's single therapy. We have a range of resources that we do share with our families because we do want to make sure that they are getting the care that they need.
Do you find that people may come to your organization or even your participants and ask you for such help, or do you find that maybe some of your staff recognizes it and just suggest it? Which one happens?
It's actually both.
Okay.
You know, I just, right before I got here, got an email from a new family asking me for resources for grief counseling. So I, sent back the list of various things and told her that, of course, if she needed further instruction, like, please call me. I mean, we're a small organization, but I like to make myself available to the families because I know they're going through a hard time, and if I can make something easier for them, please reach out to me. That's the way I am. And then there's other people that, maybe we see, at events that, I'm not sure that they're maybe handling things as well. I mean, you never walk in someone's shoes, right? But
you can't.
But
not
you
in this
can
experience,
you can
right?
use your eyes and use your gut.
Yes.
And certainly, if we see something like that, we would say, hey, can we offer you some counseling resources that might help you to help you just handle your grief? Because I mean, we know grief is always with you, right? It doesn't go away.
Yeah,
it
doesn't.
People think, oh, it's been 5 years, you should be over it. No, you don't get over it.
Don't.
It's like your life does continue.
Yes, and you
your
get
life,
better with it.
Yes.
Yes, and you can live again.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah. Just
your
like
life goes around it,
Exactly.
but it's always going to be with you. But you can make it a more positive experience by getting the help that you need.
Yes, exactly. And it's sometimes borderline of illness, so you do need some extra help during this time.
Absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, we are all about making sure that there's no taboo in mental health in our organization.
None.
You get the help that you need.
Yes, and when the heart hurts, everything hurts.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And and some, sometimes just being with others who understand is a part of that counseling.
Yes.
It's not a replacement by any means, but having that shared understanding really, really does help our families. Even if they're not talking about it at an event, they know, they understand, like this person understands what I'm going through.
What you're going through, right. So you just made me think of something else. I'm just curious because we do know that grief doesn't go away. And I know you said 9 years, but that's a long time. But do you find that families stay with you? What's the average of families? How long do they stay with you, coming to the same fall festival? Or do they feel like I'm healed and now I don't need to participate as much?
No, I mean, because the great thing is that they make friends.
Yep.
And really, we have some people who have been with our organization 7-8 years.
Yes.
And they're still there. They're actually really active in our organization because they want people to see, like, I got so much benefit out of it. I've had people who, there's one gentleman, he's been in for 7 years, and although he's remarried now, I said, you're always still welcome.
Yeah.
You're never outcast from our organization.
Exactly.
We want you to be happy. We want you to make good life choices. Right. But he said, I would love to help a new family coming in. So that they understand. He's like, this organization helped me when I was newly widowed, and I want to help someone else who's coming in and just help them navigate those first days and first months. So we have really wonderful, giving families in our group.
And I would think that inspires someone new to see someone remarried, and if they're in the same experience, they say, wow, that could be me. So there is hope.
There is hope, exactly.
There is hope for me. So that's great to hear.
Exactly.
And yeah, I'm glad. I was wondering when you said that if more people stay, like they're not just in it when you gave the analysis after 5 years, you should be over it. Because a lot of times people say, oh, you've been through all of the first. You've been through all of the first, the first Mother's Day, the first Christmas, and you should be good. Well, no. There is no good.
Look, you just never know what's going to trigger something. It could be the 10th Mother's Day, it could be the 50th
Yes.
Mother's Day. You just don't know
Yes.
when grief is going to hit you again.
Yes, you don't.
It's an unknown, unfortunately, it's an unknown
It's an
thing.
unknown, yes.
So
'Cause
having the resources around you to help you through that grief is what's important.
Right. Right. So tell me now, where do you get most of your funding? I know you said for the Fall Fest, a lot of people support you in a lot of different ways, but how do you get your general funding just to operate every day?
Sure. So right now we are actually all individual donor funded.
Oh, wow.
So
That is so cool.
we have wonderful people who do support us year in and year out, which is really wonderful. We hope to one day be able to get some grants and government funding. But right now we don't, but we're still, we're trying. And then, we always get some wonderful in-kind donations, so it's not just monetary. Obviously monetary is great because that helps us provide more programming, but in-kind donations are also wonderful because then we, get to bring people to the theater, or, we're bringing people to the Nationals game next month.
Oh, nice.
And that's all fun things that we're able to do because of in-kind donations.
Oh, wonderful. Those do work well.
They
Because
do.
again, it's another experience to get
Yeah.
people out and to get them into a normal type setting
Exactly.
with other people. Well, awesome. All right, Tara, so tell me, do you have volunteer opportunities available?
We do. We thankfully have lots of volunteers who help us throughout the year. When you're a small nonprofit, naturally volunteers are the way to
Yes.
go. So we have people who help us on the ground for events. We have people who help us with fundraising. We have people who help us with social media. So there's always a range of volunteer opportunities that we love to have. And we're thankful for all the people who do help us.
Okay. Now, you did mention earlier in our conversation, you gave examples about how the person with Outward Bound and then how the person with the Christmas gift. So it sounds like you're also very creative in everything you're doing as you go. Is there anything up and coming that's, maybe new that a volunteer may have shared, or something else that sparked you and your organization to do something even more different this year?
Well, this year I really reached out to the community and asked them, what events would you like to see?
Okay.
Because I'm planning the events, I think they're fun, but
Right.
I want to make sure that it's not just things I think are fun, but things that our community thinks are fun. So I've had great feedback from all of our members saying, they've enjoyed the ones that we've done, and now they're giving me recommendations of various other things. We have never done like something in an art studio. So we've talked with someone in an art studio, and also in Maryland. We have not done a lot of things in Maryland. So I'm excited to expand into the Maryland area. We do have Maryland families who drive to Virginia for our events, and we were in DC for an event last month, but really trying to spread out where we're doing our events so that we're really reaching the whole area that we service.
Okay, and what about any online events? I know during COVID, all of us were doing online events and trying to figure out how to stay connected, especially in this space of grief, because we never want to isolate in grief, never.
Absolutely.
You really do want to have an open door when people are going through this experience. So do you find that you're doing some things still in that platform, or have you stopped all of that kind of?
No, we actually in both January and February did online events.
Okay.
And some of that was because you never know what the weather's going to be like in January, February.
That's true, yes.
So, we had a sound healing event, which is something a little different for us. And it was just something after the holidays that we felt like we all kind of could use a reset. The holidays are rough on everybody, especially for grieving families. So just having that time to just be together, even though we were online, it was still a really, really special experience.
Oh, wow, sounds like it. Yeah, so I'm just glad to hear that you're so open and flexible to the needs of really your members, it sounds like. It's just not, like you said, you sitting there and saying, or you guys as a team saying, we should do this. You kind of listen to everybody's voice.
Yeah, I mean, we want this to be a community that everybody wants to be a part of and continue to be a part of. And so building a community that services what the community wants is important.
It's very important, yes. Now, how can people learn about the Hope organization?
So, of course, we have our website that everybody can go to, which is just hopeforgrievingfamilies.org. We also have social media channels, so we are very active on Facebook and Instagram. And, you know, we love people sharing those posts. That helps us get the word out as well.
Okay. Now, how about any newsletters? And you said Facebook, so social media. Do you do a newsletter at all?
We do a monthly newsletter, and they can sign up for the newsletter on our website. There is a spot on the website where it says newsletter sign up, and they can just put in their information. If they are a grieving family, I usually ask them to just put in a little information so that I know, you know, what they're going through. But I always reach out to anybody who signs up for the newsletter to ask them, you know, what information can I share about the organization? How can we help you? You know, we really try to get to know our members.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you're doing more in DC and Maryland. So on your website, does it say, you know, I know you said greater DC area, but is there anywhere specific you target, or you just?
Because our members are really all over, you know, I just kind of look at our list of where people live and try to find some other places where we can do events so that we're really making sure that the people in Maryland are getting, not that again, the Virginia people can drive to Maryland for it.
Exactly, that's where I was going with that, is just saying it could be something, you know, I know there's different things that happen in Maryland, fairs or whatever that you may want to invite Virginia people to. So on your website, that could probably be, that's noted as well.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who lives in the area is welcome. I mean, of course, people in West Virginia are welcome as well.
Too. Right,
it's going to be a longer drive for them, but of course, we don't, you know, we're happy to have anybody who wants to be part of our community. You know, when you're a grieving family, finding a group of other grieving families can be life-changing, really.
Can be life-changing. You're exactly right. Exactly right. Is there anything else that we should know about your organization that we didn't talk about today?
I think we've covered a lot of it.
Yes.
You know, we're excited to have our events. We're excited to help people come together. Right.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And again, Hope for being here as well and helping so many people. And great idea. I know it'll never go away. It touches even adults, as we just learned from your story today. So thank you. Thank you. So it's that time again. If you have any questions about today's segment, please see the information scrolling below. You have been watching In the Cool of the Day and today's segment of People Connecting People. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.